Okay, folks, we can't have a writing assignment in this class without discussing AI, or artificial intelligence. What is AI? Usually, it is some computer that's been written by people with machine learning techniques. What do I mean, machine learning? Well, the coder fed this computer some data for it to learn from. So, for example, like ChatGPT, Google Gemini, Microsoft Copilot, all of these programs were written by humans. They fed them a bunch of data that they learned from. So these programs kind of scavenge information from the internet to perform some action for you. Maybe you're like, do my homework for me. And it's like, okay, here's the answers, right? It's gathering those answers from what it learns from the internet. In some ways, this AI is super, super powerful, right? It can explain to you very complicated topics. But in some ways, the AI is not very smart. A lot of times, the AI makes stuff up, right? So we have to be careful in the ways that we use it because it's a great tool to help you. It is not a great tool to rely on. So let's talk about ways that I want you to use AI in this class. So, as you're writing your final paper, how are you allowed to use something like ChatGPT? Come on, pen. You are allowed to use something like ChatGPT to clean your language. I do expect the writing in your papers to be your writing, okay? You need to write your papers. Don't let an AI write your papers. But, let's say grammar isn't your strong suit, or let's say English isn't your first language, right? There's no reason for you to be penalized for that. So you can take your writing and put it into something like ChatGPT and ask it, hey, can you make my writing style more formal? Or, hey, can you make my writing style more scientific? And it will do that for you. And that is acceptable as long as the writing is your writing. You can use the AI to help give you ideas to incorporate. So let's say you're writing about cannabis for your final paper, but you don't really know about how to talk about it in terms of its societal impact. So you could ask ChatGPT, what are some ways that cannabis is used recreationally? What are some ways that cannabis is used medicinally? And it can generate some ideas for you to write about. Also, earlier, we were talking about how you're going to have to use 2 scientific references for your paper. You know what AI is really good for? Explaining things. It has access to the internet, right, to learn from. So if you can say, hey, can you explain this part of the paper to me in simple words? It will do that for you. And hey, it's a great resource to learn from, so definitely use it to help you understand something from a paper, for example, or even for class, or for other classes. Help yourself learn. If and when you use AI, even if you don't use AI, I expect you to acknowledge your use of it and how you used it in your final paper. There is not a penalty for using AI in this class as long as you use it in one of these ways that are acceptable, right? You will receive the highest grade even if you used AI as long as you kind of follow the rules, right? How are you not allowed to use AI? Okay? You're not allowed to let AI to write your paper for you. And you really don't want to. I promise you, okay? So AIs oftentimes make up references. I will be making sure your references are real. I will be looking at where you cite your references, and I'll be making sure that they make sense, right? A lot of times if you ask ChatGPT to write a paper for you with 5 references, it will just make them up. Additionally, I've read AI generated language, and it's kind of weird because it wasn't a human that wrote it, right? It was a computer. You can identify AI generated language because it's really vague. It uses words people don't normally use. I want your writing to be like human writing. I don't want weird fancy words. I want your words, right? Maybe you could use it as a thesaurus and like formalize your writing, but don't let it do all the writing for you. It comes out weird and it's noticeable, okay? Finally, you're going to be giving a final presentation about your project. You're going to have to know what you're talking about. Otherwise, I'll probably be able to tell that an AI did your project for you. So please use it in ways that are helpful, but don't rely on it to write your paper, because that's not going to cut it, folks. Last up, folks, I'll just wrap up some final ideas about our final projects.